In Portugal, there's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP morning show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. The little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP.
Good morning, Portugal, and I'd like to welcome you to another fantastic day.
Hey, you gumpers.
Hola, bon dia, Algria. Munson here with a nice little kiss curl this morning. How was your weekend? Munson here with Good Morning Portugal show, live stream and podcast. I can't avoid it. You'll probably be saying this already. Wow, he sounds hoarse and he looks rough as a bear's bottom. Guilty as charged on every level. What a fantastic weekend. And that screenshot was from the Saturday night show, which was part of a fabulous weekend this weekend. This last weekend that's gone, that included World Cup. No, Six Nations rugby, sorry. International rugby at the Welsh Bar, Tudor's Welsh Bar, where they're serving fish and chips now here in San Martino de Porto, hanging out with Colin, Paul, and Guido. Good morning, gentlemen, and loads of other fantastic travellers from around the world who found themselves in the Welsh Bar on Saturday afternoon here in San Martino de Porto on the Silver Coast. And a lovely day with the Ducks yesterday. So good to see you, Ducks, yesterday. Thank you so much for a lovely afternoon in Parc de Nations, the Park of Nations over there at, that's a riverside delight that is made up of so many wonderful things to see and do. The thing we chose to do was go to the aquarium, Lisbon's aquarium. Absolutely wonderful. I've struggled to pick a single picture which sums up the beauty and miracle of that place. Absolutely superb. The Lisbon aquarium. Pictures will follow during the week when I can decide which are, or maybe put a few together and make a little video, as T-Duck did, I think, last year now, or we might just play that again because that was a superb video. Thank you very much, the Ducks. Hanging out with you yesterday was superb, and driving from San Martino de Porto to Lisbon on the old road was a lovely experience as well on the N1, just as we were talking about actually on Saturday evening show, which was a bit like this. Somebody called Frogwood 3 or Frogwood the Third. Carl, let me honk your nose like a clown car. I didn't let them, in case you were wondering whether that happened or not. But that was quite a bizarre show on Saturday night. We reach out to America, to North America, at 1 o'clock our time, yesterday morning, really, at 1 o'clock, so that we can be with Americans in their own time where they can ask questions. And things didn't go quite as planned. We got Frank on. I don't know, you have a look for yourself and you can tell me if he'd had one or two glasses of red wine before the show. But great fun was had by all, including Bob's semi. Was a picture of Bob's semi. What did you think I meant? Isn't that great? He can boast about the fact that he can drive a truck like that, which is something I can't do. I'd love to drive a truck like that one day. I think Bob was doing that on a regular basis in Colorado. So Bob Semi for you there. Pooches, Pussies also welcome, and Guess the Gumper pictures too. We still haven't guessed who this is. And we'll see Bob later, of course. This isn't Bob. This is somebody else in our community who's with a little bit of a clue. Hold on, I need to cough. Hold on just a second. Oh, that's better. You see, really quite... really not the Mae West this one. I mean, very good in spirit, but my body is saying, Carl, perhaps we need to rest a little bit more. Can we talk about resting a little bit more rather than all this running around all over the place? But no, the fun continues, actually. Meet up on Wednesday in San Martino de Porto. A big day, of course, our channel sponsor, Your Home. They're taking the Herdad de Mayo sales to market on Wednesday. So we'll join Bobby for a glass of fizz on Wednesday morning, when, of course, we welcome the great Michael Heron as well on Wednesday. And we will be doing some outside broadcast from the site of Herdad de Meia on Saturday. So back to Lisbon for the weekend. We're going to have some great fun this week. Off to Quinta da Salia as well this afternoon. The fun doesn't stop. But I've got to squeeze in some rest somewhere in the whole schedule. Golden Eagles coming in, not literally, from Pontelima up there in the north, where, of course, Bob and Viv will be speaking to us at 9:30. It's Migration Monday, Mindful Migration Monday, with the Fraser of our community. James Holley will be here. And there's a golden eagle that was snapped up there in the north, from where Bob and Viv will be speaking to us about their new scouting service for people wanting to come over and have a deep dive, a deep look, and some really nice handheld research with Bob and Viv. This is what they see when they look out the window, perhaps. Golden Eagles. Thanks, Owen, for these. And there is a new blog from Owen on our website, all the W's, goodmorningportugal.com, and a selection of his photographs from the Peneda Gerês. Also Pontelima, and a wonderful selection of birds taking off from the water and fighting in the sky as well. Thank you very much for those, Owen, this morning. I hope you're doing well, and I hope everyone's doing well in the community. Let me know what you've been up to this weekend. And just going to move Bob's semi out the way for a moment, and get rid of a few pictures, because there's many more coming in this morning. What's this one? Oh, that's where we're going this later on this morning, actually. Quinta Cilio de Porto, which is just tucked behind that lovely, one of the biggest sand dunes in Europe, actually, where me and Mrs. M went up the other day. I forgot to include pictures of, not pictures, they are pictures, but they are pictures of events on Friday. So sorry, Andy. Let's set this up properly then before we go to your comments. I'd actually just do a quick name check. Bike Andy is here. Antonio F. James is already in. Anna, how you all doing? Lee, good morning, people, with his customary good morning, people as well. Joao de Norte is here as well. Remember, John, one picture a day, please, with your Northern Portugal propaganda. Coach Turner is phoning in. Well, not phoning in. He's joining in, connecting with us from Madeira, and he is here virtually via video, which I'll play for you also. And T-Duck, of course, in this morning with content, but not in person. A medical appointment this morning to go to, so T-Duck may catch up with us a little bit later on. But let me play you Andy's video, his most recent video of what he was up to this weekend, and then I will share the events. Even though they may have gone, they are worth knowing about. And sorry, Andy, that I forgot to include those on Friday. It was quite a special show on Friday as well, wasn't it? With the Radical Reverend Joe and Frank, of course. Two lots of Frank over the weekend. A bon dia from a cold but sunny Brighton this morning from a Facebook user. Who is that then? Is that Carl? This morning. Thank you, Carl. If that is you, Brighton is the giveaway to me, but let me know if that is you. And this video from Andy. And what have you been up to this weekend, Andy? Let's find out from your video.
Oh no.
What was that? Was that Andy singing, or was he adding to the singing that was going on in the Aveiro market, I think, yesterday there? Coach Turner, what's this? From all over, but among a few Brits in Madeira. More video to come from Ian, Coach Turner, during the week. But I've got to stitch that together, and that's going to make a beautiful video. But we do have an intro video from the wonderful time that Coach Turner is having over there. Something. Oh, okay. Thank you. I won't give the game away there. That's a nice guess the Gumpers. Guess the Gumper and guess the Gumpers. There's a couple here that I'd like to share with you as well. See if you can guess who they are. So let's go to Coach Turner then. A wonderful time being had by Coach Turner and Mrs. Turner over there in Madeira. This is the beginning of their walk, and I'll make a full feature-length video of this, but this is just the first part.
Well, for those of you that don't know, I'm in Madeira with my better half, Mrs. T, and we're about to go walking the Lavada do Rei, which is one of the famous walks here in Madeira alongside the water channels, the irrigation channels. So I'll take some more videos as we head down the path, which will be really rather lovely, and it's a beautiful day.
I can confirm that they did have a fabulous time, but who wouldn't? Look at this view here. That's the hotel, I suspect. Is that an ashtray in the foreground? I don't think that's been put out there for Coach Turner and Mrs. T. But look at it. It's tropical in Madeira. I really want to go there one day, but what I'll have to make do with for now is some wonderful communication and material content from Coach Turner, who I'm sure will be slipping in a few fitness tips along with his travelogue of time there over in Madeira. Absolutely brilliant. Thank you very much, Coach T, for thinking of us. Guess the Gumpers then. Who is this? Who is this pair? With their lovely, is that's an estate car in the UK? Is that called a station wagon over there in the United States? Who are these lovely Gumpers here? Wonderful picture. Goodness gracious, I need a Dr. Bayard this morning. Oh, other fun happening at the weekend. I will show that again, don't worry. But which couple is this in our community? That is a lovely picture of you two. Thank you very much. Who are these from... From a lovely couple to a rum-looking bunch there. I don't think I should leave it on the screen too long, should I? You rascals. Here's a nicer highlight from the weekend that was had, or part of the weekend anyway. Man cavers. If you heard extra noise in the capital on Saturday night, it was the man cave outing. Although I think they had the wonderful balancing energies of their partners with them. So they perhaps weren't as rambunctious as they might have been. But look at these lovely man cavers captured there. That's worth captioning, isn't it, that picture? What's going on there? What's going through Eric's mind? Is it because actually Nunu's got no trousers on in that picture? And that's the view that he can see. Fantastic. Superb. Thank you, all of you man cavers. Hope you had a fantastic time on Saturday night. And look, bicycle for sale over there in Vancouver. Sue's fundraising. Thank you for this. We're watching you again, Suze, and your journey this time, not from Finland, but from Canada back to Portugal. A bicycle for sale in Vancouver. If you know anybody who wants to add to Sue's fund there to raise funds to get back to Portugal. Fantastic stuff. Okay, let's go see how you're doing in the chat. Hi, senor. It is me. Lots of love to you all. We'll be back finally in a couple of weeks. Looking forward to seeing you all. Well, yeah, why don't you come by this way when you're back in the country, Carl? Great to see you. Lots of love to you there. And the UK, how's it going? Selfie slug, that's what James is calling himself this week, or at least today. Selfie slug in all my beautiful banana brilliance. Oh, I say. Bon dia, Jean from James. Let's go back to the beginning so we don't miss any context this morning. Bon dia, Grey Gumpers. Before 8 o'clock from T-Duck this morning. Never asked him, have I, about the his picture on YouTube and his duck-faced armor there. Maybe we have heard the story of that. I can't remember now, though. A brand new week after a fantastic weekend. Sadly, missing the show today. Not me, this is T-Duck speaking, because obviously I'm here. I'll have to miss the show today and tomorrow due to medical appointments. Deep thought then, via T-Duck. Health is this is Lao Tzu, one of my favorites. And when it comes to dishing out wisdom, Lao Tzu is hard to beat, the old fella. I think that might be the literal translation of Lao Tzu. The old fella. With his pithy wisdom from the Tao Te Ching. Health is the greatest possession. Contentment is the greatest treasure. Confidence is the greatest friend. This is the interesting one, though. Non-being is the greatest joy, which sounds like something you can look forward to in the afterlife, perhaps. But what does that mean? Does that mean not being attached, perhaps? Non-being is the greatest joy. Not getting too involved in the play and drama of life. I think that's probably what it means. That's the thing about Lao Tzu, though, isn't it? And the translations from the Chinese, of course. You can get in there and take a few liberties, which I just did, I think. Lao Tzu, known by numerous other names, was a semi-legendary ancient Chinese Taoist philosopher. He is Chinese honorific. Oh, he is a Chinese honorific. What does that mean? Generally translated as the old master, or the old boy. Brilliant. The old geezer in common parlance, which sounds a little bit disrespectful. Sorry, Lao Tzu. Portuguese saying of the day, Os cães ladrão, mas a caravana passa. The dogs bark, but the caravan passes. I've always thought that. What's happening here? Why the jingle's gone? I wanted to rim shot that Portuguese saying. Haven't you always thought that? Suddenly, when you hear these Portuguese sayings, things fall into place, don't they? Of course, the dogs bark, but the caravan passes, and who knew? In 1808, Fleeing from Napoleon's invasion of Portugal, the Portuguese royal family and most of the associated Lisbon nobles moved to Rio. What a bunch of lily-livered, white-feathered folk they were. Honestly, hear of Napoleon coming in. You're supposed to be setting an example as a royal family, aren't you? And the top nobles. That's not very noble, is it? Absolutely rubbish. Well, they're a long time gone now. I suppose I guess I can get away with saying this. But would you? I mean, that's no good example for a royal family to set, is it? Oh, there's some trouble. We're going. Last one out. Turn the lights off. You'll be fine. We'll come back if things blow over. The capital was transferred to Rio. Oh, well, that's the way to do it, isn't it? We're going to move and we'll take the capital with us, which became the only. I should just read this and not do the commentary, right? The capital was transferred to Rio, which became the only European capital outside Europe. The first printed newspaper in Brazil, Gazeta do Rio de Janeiro, came into circulation during this period. Well, maybe that was, or maybe it wasn't one good thing to come from that move and that, act of cowardice, you might say. Although I guess what they might say is, well, we had to protect the royal genes and family. We couldn't be slain in the capital of Portugal. We had to move to safety to make sure that the great example we give you could be kept forever and safely. Brazil was elevated to kingdom in 1815, making Rio de Janeiro the capital of Portugal, Brazil, and the Algarves. The Algarves! Until 1821, when the Portuguese royal family returned to Lisbon. We're back! Everything okay? How was it? How was Napoleon's proposed routing of the country? It's okay, then we're back now. Back to normal, everybody. Yes, peasants, carry on working and paying taxes. Can you believe my neighbour knocked on my door at 2:30 this morning? Sorry to hear that, T-Duck. 2:30 a.m. Luckily for him, I was still up playing the drums. And that was one of them. These are the dad jokes that I'm peaking with already. I'm not going to give you any more. I'm going to save those other two for James Holley, who's partial to a bit of a dad joke, especially the visual ones. Here's his effort this morning. I don't think he drew this, but he saw it on the internet, the interweb, and thought he should share it with us. I've hardly done anything on my bucket list, says the lady on the right. Sorry, the lady on the left to the lady on the right. Sitting, that's beautiful, that picture, isn't it? They're enjoying the garden. She says, I've hardly done anything on my bucket list. Just change the B to an F and you'll feel much better about it. There you go. James with us soon. In about 10 minutes, he'll be joining us. What's this picture of? Who sent in this picture of produce in Porto? I'm not sure. Oh, I think that might have been from the Ancient Mariner who sent that one in. Lots more pictures to come from him. We have some of our blogs are like, photo safaris. Only photos, no animals or vegetables for that matter hurt in the filming or photographing. And one of those to come from him because he sent some lovely photos. I think he's moved on like Kung Fu or the Littlest Hobo. He doesn't seem to be with us anymore. But it was lovely when he dropped in over these last couple of weeks. And his legacy will be some lovely pictures that he shared along the way. Superb. Thank you very much, T-Duck. Thank you, everybody, this morning for being here. Tell us about your weekend. Bob and Viv joining us at 9:30. Mindful Migration with James at 9. Bon dia, Alegria Gumpers. Really enjoying Madeira, says Coach Turner. What a beautiful place. And we appear to have been lucky with our hotel and room. A few short steps from the pool. So that picture I showed you, that looks like it's not very far. Maybe that is the patio of the room. That is lovely. Fantastic. Really looking forward to going to Madeira one day. If you're listening, Madeira Tourist Board. God Squad tip of the day then. In the 2 days we've been here, we've clocked up. I read that as cloaked up. And it was like a sort of vampire weekend. We've cloaked up and gone to the dining hall where hopefully there's no garlic being served. But no, in the 2 days we've been here, we've clocked up a week's worth of steps. Very easy to do here. However, my Achilles tendons are complaining. The Achilles is a weak point for athletes. In fact, it's their Achilles heel, I imagine. I have some experience of that, says Coach Turner, both as an athlete and a coach. What I didn't understand until a couple of years ago was that rather than resting tendons, if they are sore, they need to be loaded. Not like that. Don't head to the bar in Madeira and get drunk. Not loaded in that sort of way. For the Achilles, find a step with a handrail for balance. That's definitely sort of thing you might find in a hotel, Coach Turner. How convenient. Find a step with a handrail for balance and put the ball of 1 foot on it. What? On the handrail? Oh, no, the step. Gently allow the heel to lower, though be careful not to overstretch, then raise again. That's a good exercise to do at any time of the day or night, isn't it? I think. Give that little stretch, balancing on the ball of your foot there. If it hurts, stop and build up gradually, is always our advice with the God Squad tips of the day. And you can find many more on the website. Repeat a few times. That's goodmorningportugal.com if you want to find out more about our God Squad program when it comes to growing old disgracefully. Bon viveurs who don't want to give up the good things in life but want to stay in good shape. Lots of great resources created by Coach Turner over there. So repeat that balance on the balls a few times, then swap feet. Try to do this 2 to 3 times a day, and you'll significantly strengthen your tendons as well as your ankle and calf. You'll have some of those nice cyclist calves when you're bulging beneath your shorts. That didn't come out quite as I intended. Beneath as in further south. Oh, just move on. Bon dia todos from João do Norte. How are you doing? Good morning, Carl. Good morning, James. Good morning, Bob and Viv. Thank you very much, João do Norte. How's it going? Really a delight to share your latest bit of footage. Oh, let's share your rainbow again. But that video looks a lot of fun where you have your gathering of expats up there in Ponte Lima and you have rainbows like this. Isn't that beautiful? Thank you very much for that, João do Norte. Oh, I was thinking, John, when are you on the show? Because you're here in the country and we've done one, haven't we, so far of what's cool about the North. And I've put you on the team page along with Jason Hall, who's now joining us as a monthly regular. But what day did we agree? I think you're on a Monday from time to time, aren't you, John? Let's make sure we've got that in the diary. Forgive me, it drifted out of my rather busy mind at the moment. Oh, yes, talking of busy mind, those mugs, the mug orders are being processed, so they should be on their way to you soon as well. Thank you, everybody who ordered the mugs. We're just testing that process for the Good Morning Portugal mugs. And as soon as I feel happy with that, the first 10 flew out the door, hopefully wrapped in bubble wrap from where they're coming. I still don't quite understand how it works. The company who use Gelato are based, I think, in Norway, but they've got print-on-demand facilities all around the world. So they do make a big deal about not having too much of a carbon footprint. But we'll see. We'll see how that goes when the mugs arrive with their recipients. And then as soon as that's tried and tested to my satisfaction, we'll open up the shop again. And if you want to get a classic Good Morning Portugal mug, you'll be able to. But I just need to test it. I want to make sure it's working okay. And I'm not too much in debt from the first price point that I set the mugs at. T-Duck, I want you to know I really appreciate all the dad jokes and the who knew tidbits. Okay, well, he's not here this morning. So what I'll do is I'll do a screenshot of that. You and me, quick smile, John. And we'll make sure T-Duck gets that. Actually, I'll send it to him now. Because if he's waiting in a medical for a medical appointment in a waiting room, this might cheer him up. So let's send that to T-Duck. Right, I'm just doing that now, and I wonder what he'll think of that when he receives that on his phone this morning. A few good mornings from John to everybody else as well this morning, including you, Owen, and Hola Viva. I hope you all had a splendid weekend. Cheers, by Randy. And were you at these events that you very kindly, diligently sent to me on Friday for inclusion? Now, of course, we might have missed these. Yes, we did, but I'm including them anyway by way of an apology to you, Andy, by Andy, and just to let people know what sort of lifestyle they can enjoy here in Portugal. These are some of the events that are coming out of the Bairrada region. And many of those wonderful events are, of course, documented by Randy, including this, doing a bit of Keep Fit, then visit the local areas each Sunday in various locations around this beautiful area. And you can join in for free. So that goes on here in Portugal. Bit of training, functional training around the parks of the Bairrada, something you can get involved in, and free of charge as well. Isn't that fantastic? Well done. Also, the ballet. If you're wondering, will I be able to still be a culture vulture in Portugal when I move? Look, the ballet, the Conservatorio Internacional de Ballet Ana Sanchez was in Bairrada, at least. That's probably part of I would say, a national tour of Portugal, but that's superb as well. Some ballet, International Conservatory of Ballet and Dance at Oliveira de Bairro Centre of Arts. Lots of little art centres peppered around the country. Not always easy to find, as with many things in Portugal. But look, if you love your culture, you can still enjoy a bit of ballet in Portugal. And when was that? Was that the last? Yeah, that was over the weekend as well. Yeah, so sorry these are retrospective, but it is giving you a sense of what goes on. Eat, drink, and make merry at this event. That is Rota das, the route of cellars. Having a little wander around the cellars of the Bairrada as well. Eat, drink, and make merry at this event in the heart of the Bairrada. Truly get to see the heart of the Portuguese whilst enjoying great food, great drink, and great company. All you can eat, €15. That's how we roll here. Thank you very much for those, Andy. Absolutely superb. Who have I missed? Yes, guess those gumpers, if you will. Avoid this lot if you see them in the street. But they did, I think, they had a great time over the weekend. And we still got this gumper. Who is that one as well? Looking very magnificent and handsome in that picture there. A few more comments then until we welcome onto the screen the Fraser of the Good Morning Portugal community. He's listening. He's listening, and he'll be here with a bit of mindful migration insight and answering your questions, of course, if you're thinking of moving to Portugal. If you're new to this community, you can see we're pretty tightly knit here, but there's still space among the tight knitting for you to get in and be a part of this. Like a rugby scrum, but without getting hurt. Just getting loved and supported on your journey here, basically. Good morning, Gumpers from Paddy. Another beautiful morning and week ahead. Cheers, buddy. Great to see you here. Antonio F., how are you doing? Bon dia todos from you. And Anna, bon dia from VRSA. Have a happy week. Cheers, Anna. Great to see you here. I haven't had a picture from you for a little while. No pressure, but we do love your pickies. Jean as well. Bon dia, senor. Brilliant banana slug. How about that? And yeah, that was Carl, the other Carl, coming in from Brighton this morning, and from also from Portimao this morning. Olia bon dia, kids with disease, kids with disease from not kids with disease, kids with the Z's. That's Victoria Benson in sunny Portimao, where we spoke to Frank, of course. On I think he might have had 1 or 2 glasses of red. I don't know. You check for yourself on the playback, on the replay there. And there was it got giggly. And I mean, what was I expecting? Frank, after a couple of sherbets, Mrs. M, me, it was late in the day. Well, it was early the next morning, basically. So we got giggly, and I didn't get round to saying, what with all the housing policy stuff going on, challenging times in the world generally, I really wanted to make the point that Portugal is still a great place to come. You know, people are facing challenges all over the world at the moment. And relatively speaking, despite some dents possibly to inward investment and inward migration because of some of the ideas, or not just the ideas, but the way the government are going about things at the moment, people might be thinking, oh, not so sure about Portugal anymore. I still say, come on in, the water's lovely. James may agree with me as well. We'll have a little chat about that this morning. But I forgot to mention that late yesterday morning at around 2:15 in the morning, eager to get to bed so I could get up and go to the aquarium. Bon dia todos from Jim as well. How are you doing, Jim? Great to see you. And good morning, everybody. But nice and early this morning, Joao F. Good to see you here. Bob's in early as well. We'll be back, of course, on the screen with us at 9:30. And first Tuesdays. Yes, thank you for that. Sorting out a bit of admin. You can see John, what's cool about the North on the first Tuesday of the month. John, let me just show you. I've added you to the team page. Actually, I'm going to show everybody now, John, the team, before we bring on top team member James Holley. Let me just bring onto the screen the Meet the Team tab of our website. I'm very proud of our website. I really am. There's a lot of information on there, and the numbers are slowly going up. I think we are being useful to people. Tell me if you enjoy using the website, and if there's anything else you would like to see on there that I've not so far included. And I've included a lot, I've got to tell you. There's the index. Just click on any of those names, and you'll be scrolled down. Who doesn't like to be scrolled down first thing in the morning? Look at this fantastic team, some of whom you'll see on the screen this morning. So we'll get John in there on a Tuesday. I'm thinking maybe we should move you to a Monday. But anyway, we'll talk about that. All the team members here and some of the recent joiners too. And there's John. Joao Donort, there you are, John, on the screen right there. What a fabulous team we have here at Good Morning Portugal. And there's still room for a few more people. Is there somebody you were thinking as you were scrolling around on social media or going about your business, they'd make a great guest on Good Morning Portugal? Well, there's room, there's space. We can always make room for interesting guests. And we're also, of course, because of the Portugal Immigrant Network that we've just founded in the last week, we would love to extend our, not really our remit, but our embrace, our hug to people of other nationalities so far as yet unrepresented here. And there are many of them coming to Portugal who we haven't even spoken to yet from different countries around the world. We'd love to speak to you if you are from Belgium, if you're from Bangladesh, India, China, if you're from Russia. People who regular everyday people who've made new lives in Portugal, who might need a little bit of help, who want to be of help to others. If that's you, Nepalese, Guinea-Bissau, Cape Verde, if you're from those countries, and we've barely spoken to you so far, we have a particular focus, which is a historical thing, but we want to open that out right now. Beginning at this time in history with the new Portugal Immigrant Network. I love Guess the Gumper, but no guesses this morning. I think James's was really good, wasn't it? Going back a bit now. But we've got new ones. We've got a couple who we need you to guess, who would be these two. Where have they gone? Oh, these two here. Guess those Gumpers and guess this one. And let's play the music so that we can see the man of this moment. Where's his music? Here it is. We enjoy this little bit, don't we? See you after this. For a little bit of the Fraser of this community, James will be with us with his big proud banana this morning. Yes, enjoy it. Soak it up.
Bom dia.
Olá, bom dia, alegria. Tudo bem, meu amigo?
Sim, muito bem, obrigado.
Perfeito.
Como foi o teu fim de semana?
Muito bem, obrigado. O cenário de Lisboa.
Sim.
Oh, man. Hey, that's good. We went quite some way into the Portuguese language, didn't we, this morning?
A little bit, yeah.
A little bit further every week. Very good.
A little stretch, yes.
A little stretch. And we should and will do more, of course, to strengthen our Portuguese. I'm finding myself more and more, slowly and gently does it, James? Are you finding that, more and more interactions that you have and you think to yourself, wow, that really wasn't the stress it used to be. I managed all of that little interaction there in Portuguese. Elementary, of course, but still holding our heads up high as we walk away from a shop, cafe, or market stall.
Yes. Well, speaking of that, I went to the pastelaria in Ericeira yesterday that we had sort of made a routine of every week when we went out for our grocery shopping to stop in and get a coffee, buy our bread. But Louisa has a leg injury and hasn't been able to move around very easily. So we haven't gone there near as much. I hadn't been there for a while. And it was one of the places I actually started speaking Portuguese with any confidence because I had learned how to order my coffee and learned how to order my bread. And I was feeling so proud of my, the learning. And I got in there and it was time to order and I was stumbling and I went, wow. It's one thing to have it in your head and another thing to make the words come out of your mouth. So I was just reminded of the need to continually practice and not just practice reading it and thinking the sounds. You have to actually produce the sounds with your mouth or it won't coordinate. So it was a great reminder. I managed to get it out. The woman helping me understood me, but just need to practice. It's
a life metaphor, isn't it? You can't just sit there reading books about the theory of life. You've got to get out there and get some skin in the game, haven't you?
Yes. Yeah. And especially when it requires physical coordination. And we don't think about it, but speaking requires tremendous physical coordination. Getting the lips and the tongue and the throat, everything to do all the things at the right time in the right places. We just is so unconscious in our native language. But when it's foreign and you don't practice, it's like come foil. It's like, oh boy, put it all together.
Yes. And I think it's part. I think we can have it down as part of the growing old disgracefully. Fitness for the mind, couldn't we? learning the language.
Absolutely.
It has the same sort of, they've said this about Sudoku, haven't they? That, do a Sudoku puzzle every day or Wordle or something like that. And that's fair enough. But the great thing about learning a language is actually practical useful as well. I've not actually come across anyone who said, wow, I'm glad I did that Sudoku puzzle. It came in really handy at 10:30 this morning when I found myself in an awkward situation.
Yes. Well, a number of years ago, when my mother was still with us, she had Alzheimer's, or the beginning stages of it. And so my brother and I were doing a lot of research in how can we help to expand the capacity of the mind and maintain memory and do those things. I shouldn't say the mind, the brain. And I've discovered that a lot of the advice given is actually not supported with research. I mean, doing puzzles and answering riddles, those kinds of things help maybe a little bit, but I think the statistical label for it is not insignificant. Now I can't remember. Anyway,
insubstantial.
Speaking of memory, but
take your ginkgo.
But what they said was supported by research was learning something that requires you to think. So learning to play a musical instrument, learning a language, something that requires a lot of mental stimulation to figure things out. Solving puzzles is just a very small piece of it when you're doing jigsaw puzzles and so on. But when you're trying to put a language together, you're trying to learn a new skill. Those kinds of things apparently really help. So I'm thrilled, given my now genetic predisposition. A parent gets something, you become instant high risk. Like, okay.
It's horrible, that, isn't it? Yeah, well, okay, keep learning the language. Keep learning the language, James. I think the benefits are manifold.
Yes, and it really has gotten, I remember the first 6 months was like, this sucks. I give up. I'm not doing this anymore. This is too hard. Yeah, I mean, it's just like, why am I doing this? They speak English there. And it's like, no, you can't be that guy. So I stuck with it. And after about 6 months, I said, okay, I think I can get this. It still feels incredibly slow, but I'm having fun with it now. I'm putting my intellect, my knowledge of history, my somewhat limited knowledge of language origins, all this stuff that's very interesting to me, I'm putting together in the effort to speak and hear a new language. So I don't know that everyone will get quite the joy out of it that I do at this point, but it's worth sticking with.
Yeah, good advice. First bit of good advice this morning from the Fraser of the Good Morning Portugal community. I mean, here's what you could do, James, is if you want to take it a stage further, you mentioned learning a language and learning a musical instrument. Why don't you learn Portuguese fado guitar as well? And then you really do yourself a massive favor. Come on, you could do that.
Yeah, or just learn to play an instrument and riff in Portuguese.
How about that? That's easy for someone of your intelligence. I listen to traditional Portuguese music, says Jean. Learning the lyrics is good practice. Yeah, that's a great idea. It really is. A lot of music you'll find, of course, as well, that is in Portuguese, is in Brazilian Portuguese. And it puts a smile on your face as well, singing some of those Portuguese tunes too. Ukulele would be a little bit easier than the guitar, perhaps. Yeah, well, he's not a lightweight.
2 less strings.
He could do it. Don't talk him out of the Portuguese fado guitar. I want to see a concert from you, James, this time next year, live in Ericeira, and talking between the tunes in Portuguese as well, with little asides. Fantastic. Oh, and if you could cook the Portuguese food for the break, that'd be great too.
Perfecto.
The live stream last night for Americans was wild. It did turn out that way. It wasn't our intention, but it did turn out that way. Frank, the drunk Uncle Frank turned up. Yeah, I think he'd had 1 or 2. So it was good fun. It wasn't quite what we intended. We want to be really erudite and informative about moving to Portugal, but you can't win them all. We still had a lot of fun anyway. Joao F to Owen, hello. I sent you a message on the forum some time ago in order to help you solve that CTT issue of yours, but you never returned it. Has the problem been sorted out? So that's very kind of you. Joao F. CTT seem to be very good at getting these to us, don't they? The Finanzas letters never seem to go missing, and they deliver many of them to our house. What's your experience of the post, James?
It's mixed. It really is a mixed bag. And some of it gets mixed in with package delivery, which isn't always CTT. So, but I just find it interesting listening to Louisa's bureaucratic struggles with things like addresses. She was recently told, I think by CTT, that she was using the wrong address. She's only lived here, 22 years. Using the exact same address until CTT changed it, because they used to go by lot numbers. So she was lot 3, and now she's numero 6. So, and now it's all on her front gate, lot number, numbers.
Well, so now the postie just comes and goes, sorry, this is too confusing. I can't deliver it.
So she had to prove to the post office that the address they had assigned her, both addresses they had assigned her, was indeed the address that she was continuing to reside in and was the correct address. I thought, well, okay, that's interesting. I seem to have always gotten mail that has been mailed to me, has arrived to me at this address. Okay. I've packages, I've had people say they tried, but they couldn't find it. It's like, it's right on the gate, right on the street, right across the street from a house with another number. It's like, it's not difficult. We're not hiding it somewhere. But sometimes I think the driver just didn't want to have to figure out.
It does happen. It
gets confusing,
Yeah, I would never have used that excuse myself, but some of my colleagues certainly, when I was working for Her Majesty's Postal Service, I think would come up with that lame, sorry, we couldn't find it. And I suppose it's easier to make that excuse here, isn't it? When there's so much confusion about lot numbers and street numbers and house numbers, you could say that.
Yeah, and so many streets that seem to have the exact same name.
What, Rua Vasco da Gama, for example?
well, ours is I'll have to put Karaskeira. It's getting that combination. It's not a tongue twister. It's a throat twister.
You're right. Do you want to try it one more time?
Karaskeira. Still can't do it.
I practice. Good effort.
I don't say enough, but it's rude, and every street up here has that.
Yeah.
And then ours, I guess.
I wonder if they're on strike anytime soon. I've not heard that, especially. But shout out to all the posties. It's a great job, and you do a fantastic job. Maybe a few more of the things we love to receive, and less of the things we don't like. Why can't you lose those? That's the problem, isn't it? They seem to lose or can't deliver the things we want to receive, but they have no problem delivering the things we're not so keen on. So yes, if it's got some personal handwriting on, please make an extra effort. And isn't it nice to receive a handwritten letter from time to time? I don't know if anyone still does that here. Portuguese is fun. Vir, to come, ver, to see. If I see is se eu ver. If I come, se eu vier. Have fun with that. And when you see these things on the screen, folks, don't just read it. Say it out loud, such that a friend, a partner or neighbor will run into the room to see if you need medical attention. But do it as loud and as many times as you possibly can to embody the sounds of the Portuguese and give it a good go. So thank you very much, Nom de Plume, telling us that Portuguese fun is fun and giving us a little bit of homework to do there as well. Okay, we've got this strange spammer again. This was weird, but I definitely need to get rid of you this morning. Go bother somebody else. So let me just get rid of that. I may have blocked somebody else by mistake there. Sorry if I did that. I've done it. I've blocked Connie. Did I do that to her before?
Yeah. I think it was Connie before.
I can't believe that. What are the chances of banning the wrong person twice?
Twice, accidentally. She's going to take this personally now.
Oh, that is really bad. No banned guests.
She's going to wake up Hank and get him talking to you.
Now I'm in trouble. Oh, Connie, please send a message to me via WhatsApp so that I can make sure. I was trying to get rid of a real idiot that was on there this morning, and in my haste, I've blocked you instead. And I can't believe that's the second time it's happened. Really, it's not personal. But that's, someone trying to catch me out there. I don't know. Go and get a job, like be a postman and deliver the post instead of being...
That is their job.
What, being an idiot?
Blogging. I mean, spamming.
Spamming.
Whatever you call it. Yeah.
No way. I think
probably paid to do it.
What I couldn't believe on Saturday night was this person had created loads of different identities, and they were all coming in at the same time. I don't know if they have a team of people or they've got some special technology. But I mean, to go to all that effort to be stupid is really quite, it's strangely admirable. Nom de plume. I wrote to Her Majesty. Her secretary wrote back. They're still called the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. Is that a joke, or is that a true story there? I wrote to them.
Sometimes when it comes to British stuff, I can't tell the difference.
Oh, look, it wasn't Connie last time. It was Suze. Welcome to the Blocked Club, Connie. Happened a long time ago. Oh, sorry. See, but what you can see from that comment is Suze was able to come back ultimately. And she had to go to Canada first. Yes, it's a very serious matter, isn't it? Oh my goodness! But it also says on my settings here, I've got no banned guests, which is really weird. And what's this broadcast? I've got a new green room feature, the best way to manage guests for important streams. And I've got to upgrade for that. I think how strange. I'm gonna tick the box and see what happens. All right, James. And maybe
okay. See you next week.
Oh, there's a thing to mess about. It's a true story. It wasn't a joke. So the Duke and Duchess write back on behalf there if you write to the Queen. And I saw the Queen being mentioned. Of course, that's the Queen Consort now, isn't it? Not Elizabeth II anymore, of course. But when we refer to the Queen now, we talk about the Queen Consort, Camilla, are we not? The team Saturday night spamming you was the Man Cave, wasn't it? It had all the markings. No, I think it wasn't them. I think they were asleep by that point, having had one or two sherbets themselves. But that was, it's weird, and that person's still persisting here. What do we do with this naughty behavior, James? As somebody with an understanding of the human mind and working with young people, I guess if we give them, do we ignore them? Do we deprive them of the oxygen of publicity and they'll go away? How do you deal with it? What would you say, understanding the psychology of somebody who's an attention seeker like that?
Well, definitely being ignored, you don't get any positive reinforcement. You don't get any feedback. So at some point they'll get bored. It's just a matter of how long are they going to persist? How badly do they want your attention?
Yes.
So, ignoring bad behavior is good advice. But if you've got a child who is smacking you in the knee with a spoon,
yes,
you might want to just let that go on for an hour and a half.
Got to weigh it up, haven't you? How much do I like my knees, for example?
Exactly. So in this case, a badly behaving guest, I mean, you've managed some, especially people who were being vocal and actually saying something incredibly well. They've been as kind and gentle as I may appear. I do have a very strong, rebellious 15-year-old that just wants to punch people in the face. So sometimes when that happens, I just want to, just like, stop it, you idiot. Like,
I need that as a jingle. What time is it? It is 20 past 9. I'm going to make a note of that. And I can make a little jingle for every time we get a troll. Oh, James,
okay.
Stop it, you idiot.
So I can claim Gumper, I can claim Banana Slug, and I can claim Stop It, You Idiot.
Stop it, you idiot. Yes, you can. The
from the Frasier of Good Morning Portugal.
From the
I love it.
Good Morning Portugal. Yes, expect that to be immortalized quite soon. Yeah, so we got rid of Ricky Spanish and Connie Stalika at the same time. Connie, please communicate with me via WhatsApp and don't be upset. It wasn't personal. The other thing we could do is, I have got a message from Connie. Why, Carl? Why?
I love her.
Oh, dear. The other thing.
What did I do?
Right. we were friends. I'm going to post that. I'm posting that here now. But just there you go. There it is. Just on WhatsApp.
Honey, we love you. We love
Please,
you, honestly.
don't tell Hank.
Well, I can speak for me. Carl's the one who blocked you. So
Stop it. Talking of Gumper love and Gumper hugs, that's the other thing we could offer. We could get this person and any trolls to come onto the screen, and you could counsel them, couldn't you? And find out what it was that went on in their childhood that causes them to behave in this dysfunctional way now.
Possibly. It would take more than one 2-minute screen session.
I thought you were really good, but it takes more than 2 minutes, does it? To sort
Well, I've had parents, because I've worked with a lot of teens. That was most of the bulk of my work, especially early on. And I've had parents say, basically the equivalent of, he's been seeing you for 3 weeks. Why isn't he fixed yet? And I learned, I worked on it, and with my supervisor as an intern, she helped me to relax a little bit in the profession. At one point, I said, I'm just going to start saying, you've had him for his whole life. I've had him for 3 weeks.
Oh, very good. Yes.
So trying to not be disrespectful, but to say, hey, get back in your lane.
Yes, okay. Get back in lane. I love that. I love that expression. Right, it's 23 minutes past 9, James. We haven't even talked about what's been on your mind about Portugal yet, have we? We've had a few other things that have got in the way this morning, including
and that happens sometimes, and I'm always willing to go with the flow, whatever's going on.
Yeah.
I actually, and it's perfect because this weekend, typically I have thoughts starting to percolate toward the end of the week. What feels right to talk about on Monday, and sometimes I don't make the decision till Sunday. And this weekend I came up with the question. I said the answer was, I don't know. I said, well, that's not very helpful.
Thanks a lot.
But in that moment of just letting go of the trying to figure it out, it's like, I don't think we've talked about gratitude. That might be a good one. And I said, okay, well, let's reflect on gratitude. And of course, now we've got about 6 minutes. It doesn't need to take an hour, but
step it up. Come on.
But essentially for me, and I've made the reference, and maybe I can talk about it more in detail another day, but I often refer to gratitude as my key to peace. To me, the opposite of gratitude, and this is my own personal experience, is complaint. When I'm complaining, where I go to when I catch myself complaining, which is nearly always in my mind now. I don't generally complain out loud, and I have actually very little patience for people who all they do is complain. It's like, I don't want to be around this like all the time. Can you maybe just be quiet or something? So when I catch myself complaining, and that's the big start, that's the notice part of notice, choose, act. I have to notice that I'm complaining again. The traffic is so slow. It always kind of has that feeling. Yeah. And when I notice that, it's like, oh, you're complaining again. Okay. So what I have learned is that to counter that, not to push it away, I'm not trying to escape the complaining. I'm trying to replace it with something that's more beneficial to me, which is gratitude. So in that practice, I catch myself, and the question I pose to myself is, what about that are you grateful for right now? Because that forces me to look at the thing I'm resisting and find something legitimate that causes me to be grateful, which can be challenging. The first time I learned this I was on a bus. I was early, had plenty of time. I had been using public transportation to get to my work forever. I don't even think I was going to work. So nothing about the time. And the bus pulled over, and I saw them lowering the wheelchair ramp. And my thought, uncontrolled, unconscious, was, oh, great. Now we have to wait for someone in a wheelchair.
What a great share. Thank you for that honesty.
Yes. And I caught myself. I said, what
What is wrong with you, man?
What was that? You know, like that was the 15-year-old. Knock it off.
Knock it off. I'm
And
going to do that one as well.
I just so astounded myself. I said, what is this complaint? You're not in a hurry. This person clearly needs the use of public transportation. You could walk. You could ride a bike. You could drive. You have all these options. This person, this is what they need to get where they're going. Why are you complaining about this? And, you know, I caught myself in that, said, yes, you're right. You're absolutely right. So what are you grateful for about this moment? And I said, well, I just named a few. I'm grateful that I don't need to get around in a wheelchair. I have physical capacity to move myself. I'm grateful that I can choose a bus if I want to, and then I have all these other choices. I'm grateful that this bus system is available for me to get where I need to go, and even more for that person to be able to get where they need to go. And just started finding the things I was grateful for as opposed to the thing I was complaining about, which was totally unconscious when it popped in.
Yeah.
So, but that's the process. You know, if someone cuts you off on a highway and you almost die, and you get this immediate survival reaction of wanting to eliminate that person who threatened your life. You know, it's like, oh, you almost killed me. You know.
Yes.
And
yeah.
so, what am I grateful for? Well, the obvious is I'm grateful they didn't kill me.
Yeah.
Truly, I'm grateful that I'm still here to be angry about that. You know, what else am I grateful for? I'm grateful that I have a vehicle that can get me where I need to go, you know, and that I've never been in a position where I've been in an accident that took me off the road.
Mm.
Find the things that you're grateful for in the moment of the thing that you're complaining about is a great way to start. And usually it's because it becomes obvious. Like complaining about someone in a wheelchair just is so obvious. It's like, what was that? You know, someone cutting you off and you feeling like you almost died. That's really obvious. Like, okay, so it kind of brings your attention to it anyway. So that's the notice part. And then what's my choice? I choose to be at peace ultimately. Okay, so what do I need to do to get there? What's my action? Gratitude. Find the things I'm grateful for.
Thank you for that. And of course, so transferable to life here in Portugal. We've got a new blog from Ocean Dweller over there in Madeira, as well as Coach Turner, two of our community in Madeira this morning. But a lovely blog that's just come in by the name of, I think it's something like, So You're in Portugal, What Now? My mouse isn't cooperating. I keep meaning to change the battery of this thing. Well, You're in Portugal, Now What is the name? And that is the link to it. So don't, you open in a new tab. Please don't go there now and shut us off. But I think it touches on what you're talking about, really, which is whilst there are stresses of moving to Portugal, and you will find them probably on a daily basis, the thing James just mentioned is something you can do, right? You can, whilst you're catching yourself complaining about something stressful and legitimate, of course, not just because somebody stepped out in front of you on the pavement and you want to kill them, like really, really difficult and real things, like, you know, you can't use the cash machine, or you're crying in a supermarket because you can't find the thing you want. That still is a moment, isn't it, to go to leave the building via the cafe and sit and enjoy the Portuguese sunshine or a Portuguese coffee and just balance that up with a little bit of gratitude. Am I on the right wavelength there, James?
Yes. And oftentimes the most difficult time to be grateful is when you're complaining or when you're upset. It's very difficult to find gratitude. And again, if you're trying to look for gratitude as a way to escape whatever you're experiencing in the moment, it's not going to be effective. You're not going to, for me, the goal is to be at peace. Yes. If I can walk through my life in peace or at peace, then, you know, I'm living that life well lived that I referred to last week. It's optimizing every moment, and being at peace is a key for me. And gratitude is my path toward living that truth of peace. So it also requires accepting what's in front of you and being able to let go of it, because it's the need for it to go away that we grab and then we suffer. So rather than needing it to go away, if I'm truly trying to fill my life with peace, what can I find? And I use the grocery store experience when I first got here, you know, watching someone look at 15 different types of ketchup.
That's right.
And, and being stuck in the aisle. And the first time I was like, you're blocking the way, man.
Yes.
In my head, it's like, okay, James, are you in a hurry? No. Do you have any place you need to be? No. What's the rush? None. Okay, so what are you grateful for? Well, I guess if I'm going to be humorous, and I usually am, I'm grateful I have 15 or 20 choices of ketchup if I ever want them.
Living the dream, mate. Living the dream. 15.
Then,
I mean, how many people can say that in the world?
yes, then I'm grateful that I'm not in a hurry. I'm grateful that I can actually stand here and observe a Portuguese human being living a Portuguese life, doing a typical Portuguese thing in a grocery store. All these things that I can be grateful for if I choose it. But if I am trying to, don't be so pushy. It's like, oh, okay, I won't be pushy. Like, you're not going to get the same effect.
You know what? I think we're back to Lao Tzu here. Health is the greatest possession. Contentment is the greatest treasure. Confidence is the greatest friend. Non-being is the greatest joy. And I think that's what the non-being bit is. Non-attachment, really, isn't it? It's not getting carried away in the lesser qualities of human consciousness, such as anger and attachment, and being frustrated or upset by things. And it does happen. Of course it happens. And what's Bob and Viv will be with us in just a couple of minutes, but just to conclude on this, James, what I find so interesting is that these forces are running in us, aren't they? That can be, who is that person that lives in us who says, oh my God, a disabled person needs to get on this bus. That's going to really make me late. That person is there lurking in the background, aren't they? And the 15-year-old you're talking about who wants to, they're lurking inside our consciousness or being, aren't they? And we're carrying them as passengers, and they pop up from time to time. So it is really good to have a tactic to deal with them, isn't it?
Yes. Well, I have made the reference on more than one occasion. If life is a road trip, you don't want the 4-year-old or the 15-year-old or any of those other personalities we're carrying around that don't serve us. You don't want them driving the car. So I used to make reference to the 4-year-old because they're so extreme in their moods, or in their attitudes, and oftentimes defiant. And so people say, well, why don't you just get the 4-year-old out of the car? And it's like, well, then you miss the awe and the joy and the spontaneity and the thrill of being alive and the exuberance that a 4-year-old brings. So in addition to that, it's a part of who you are. So you can't really get them out of the car anyway. You just don't put them in front of the steering wheel.
Thank you. I've got a 4-year-old, you see. So thank you for that advice today. Another thing I'm grateful for, James. Thank you for being here this morning. We have more people to thank for being here this morning. And look, and that includes Connie. She has been unblocked. I'm so glad I now know how to do that.
Welcome back.
And friends joining us now, two more reasons to be grateful. From, I think, the kitchen we're beginning to know and love with your background there and your thrones. They are the queen and king on your screen. They're Portuguese throne.
This is very royal appearing, yes. The high back chair, yeah.
Good morning. How are we this morning?
It's the warmest room in the house.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Obviously, look who's in it.
Yeah. Well, the bedroom went. Never mind.
Yes. Yeah. Let's not give it that conversation we're having on Saturday night, Bob. I think we know that we understand a little bit more about British euphemisms since Saturday night.
Yes, that was interesting.
It just got a little bit. That was the fever pitch of the program when you offered to send me a picture of your semi, but that's all done and behind us now. Good morning to you both. How's Ponte Lima this morning?
Cold.
It's cold.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we're hovering around 0. So yeah. I think I'm not sure what it is right now.
I think it's 4 right now, but it feels like 2.
Yeah. So
it's cold.
Well, at least you got rainbows. You've got rainbows up there. Look at this.
We do.
That was a beautiful day. And so it's that now. It's going to be 15 today, I think, which is what, 60 or so. Yeah. So wonderful. It's just that I think we've said before, the heating system didn't cooperate this winter, and so we're out of diesel, and we don't feel like buying any more right now because it's spring.
Yeah.
Or it's spring wannabe, so
Cold weather's almost over.
Yeah.
Almost over.
so we're just as wherever we are, there we are. We're heating the room where we are. So
Very good. Learning the local ways.
That's
really
very
good.
Portuguese too.
It is.
It is.
Yeah.
You're
That's
right.
why I've learned that's why the architecture of more, well, I don't want to say traditional, but not modern Portuguese housing is that every room has a door. You can close off each space so that if you're in that space, you can heat it more efficiently. And then when you leave, you close the door and then you come back.
Right.
Yeah.
Not if you're under 15, you don't close the door, which I'm
Right.
No, you don't.
I should clarify when I
People who
say
live at Carl's house don't close the door.
That's right. Carl, when I say you, I literally mean you close the door.
Yeah, I'm the only one. And sometimes I'll even need to turn the light and the heater off for that empty room as well. I mean, we don't want empty rooms going cold and unlit, do we? I mean, they have feelings too, presumably, which is what we might say. But great to have you here, Bob and Viv. And it's a bit cold, but isn't that amazing how it's going to rise to 15? I love that in Portugal, how it can be really chilly in the morning and you've forgotten about it by lunchtime. So superb.
Yes.
And another thing, along those lines, we thought we'd run out of gas. Well, I love talking about these little domestic issues that we have and that can be of help to other people. We changed the gas so that we could have hot water. We thought our gas bottle had run out. Turns out it was the batteries in the instant water
Or
heater.
the igniter.
Yes. So don't assume, folks, that the spark in your instant water heater is connected to the mains. It might be two big batteries that you used to see your grandparents putting in a flashlight or a transistor radio. Though you know those really big, like a pair of binocular
The D's.
D-size cells. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
So it could be that as well before you invest in a new big, like shoulder high bottle of gas. It might just be the battery inside the boiler there.
So, Carl, you learned that when the spark in your heater goes out, get a new battery.
Is this a metaphor, James? Is this a bit of mindful migration metaphor?
If you assume a heater is your life, then
Okay.
Great
sorry,
application.
I thought we were going somewhere with that.
You can apply it to almost any electric device.
This is my new battery.
Excellent. Yes.
That's right. This is what we've heard in other webinars, doesn't it? Change your battery, and your temperature goes up.
And you get a new spark. Yes.
Heating
works.
works.
Absolutely.
Well said, Bob. And you're here on official business this morning, aren't you, in your residency? You join us on the fourth Monday of every month with a little bit of a report from up there in the north. We've heard it's cold. We've heard you're not buying any more diesel. And you are starting a new and exciting project, which is, I think this is going to come as music to the ears of many who've seen you on YouTube as the poster couple for the north of Portugal. But your new project isn't just for the north, is it? This is to help people wherever they want to be in Portugal. So please tell us more about it.
Oh yeah, we're calling it Portugal Experience. Examine your move,
right.
And we're actually looking for our first people to join us and take a cross-country trip. Because, for example, we're communicating with somebody right now who wants temperatures in the 70s and 80s, and absolutely no mold. And we're wondering if anybody can give us feedback in that, where in Portugal that can be. But
hold the front page there a minute. So no mold, you say, in Portugal. That's a tough one, but that could be build quality that deals with that rather than location.
70 to 80 is a pretty narrow margin.
Yeah, and all year is this average, or just they want that constant 70, 80?
Well, we're following up. It's a conversation that just began, but it brought the highlight to us that particularly what we've been seeing is if somebody comes like we did, James did, with no exploratory trip, you got to be the adventurous. I'll take whatever it is, come what may. I know this is what I'm supposed to do. But what we're seeing is anybody that's got any real serious questions about anything, by all means, come make a trip.
Yeah.
And tourist trips focused on sites. And we've been talking with James. We want to share the culture, the life, the people, both Portuguese and immigrant people. And so that's the goal of every stop, every night. And if it wasn't so inland, we've looked at the map for National Road 2, which they call the Route 66 in Portugal, but
Wonderful.
it's far enough inland. We probably won't do that unless somebody specifically wants that. But so that's kind of where we're at.
Excellent. Okay, so
Yeah, coming for a vacation is very different than coming to live.
Totally.
So you want to see what it's like to live here if you're planning on moving here. If you want a vacation, just follow the brochures, go see the sites and enjoy yourself.
Right.
So two very different experiences, two very
true.
different intentions.
It's true, and it's the latter you're talking about, isn't it? You want to give people the reality and the depth rather than the broad brushstrokes and the postcard picture. Sorry, Viv.
Right. We heard a statistic that, and I haven't been able to confirm it yet, but somewhere between 30 and 70% of North Americans either go home or they go someplace else in the first 5 years they're here. So we'd like to kind of find out more about that and find out if they're going home, why. Is it because of lack of preparation or other things, or it just wasn't the way they thought? And with this tour, kind of address some of that. And like, if you're looking for perfection, stay where you are, because it's not here.
Stay where you are and don't enjoy perfection there, rather
than because you'll ruin it. Yeah.
And that is, as James can well speak to, I'm sure, that is, wherever we are, we bring ourselves, and that can be an issue as well.
Yes.
We've talked before on here that a move doesn't change that kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah, well said. Well said. Go on, James.
And the truth is, I know probably for all of us, and for many in this community who are already here, we experience tremendous joy and pleasure from being here, and we want other people to have that experience. So we become unintentional salespeople. We're trying to sell people on how great it is, and forgetting that it's, as much as we love it, believe it or not, Portugal's not for everybody. No place is for everybody. So the reality of that is very important if people are coming to explore. It's like, yeah, these are the wonderful things. These are the things that people complain about. These are the things that take a little extra effort. Show them the reality of the experience, because it's not, I don't get the sense from what you guys are doing that you're trying to sell Portugal. You're trying to help people to have a more realistic and positive experience as they've tried to make their decisions.
Yes.
Yes.
And part of it's built upon a friend of ours, Jennifer Reed, who has held tours, taken safaris to Africa many times, and but also took 2 or 3 trips to come over here. I think 2 actual exploratory trips, and arrived on February 2nd, same day as John and Pam. And we've been visiting with her. She explored other countries, actually moved to Panama, then took a bus tour after she got there and moved away.
She decided it was not for her.
Yeah.
So, but she'd already moved before she took her tour, so didn't like what she saw and went home.
So she is definitely part of the inspiration for this. As we've met people through Vitor and Carl and others, that the broad trip can make so much difference. And then spend another 2 weeks renting a car or taking public trans, and go back to what you didn't see, or go back to what you were really drawn to, and you'll already have a connection there. You'll already know somebody.
Yes.
And so every night the plan is to meet with immigrants, and they will know real estate agents, and possibly even somebody from the camera. We'll see how each location comes together, but we'll actually be able to base the trip on at least whatever the first people that come to us are looking for, and then we'll build around that.
Yeah, superb. I love that. And I'm really staggered by, well, actually, on the face of it, staggered by the figure of 30 to 70%. But then again, not surprised, because this came as quite an awakening for me in the last year or so to discover that people were leaving. You know, I'm early on really in this, you know, in being in Portugal. Even at 5 years, that's quite early, isn't it? And it never occurred to me that people might want to leave. I'm in it for the long term, as I assumed everybody else was. And that this thing of so many people leaving, I mean, it just having that conversation might give them the freedom to say, actually, I don't need to think in terms of being there forever. I might just go for a few years. That's how I'm going to frame this Portuguese adventure. It isn't forever. I'm not thinking of, you know, moving everything lock, stock, and barrel. I'm going to just leave some stuff back home. I'm going to prepare a little bit of a bolt hole back home. But I'm going to go and have an adventure that might be a few years rather than for the rest of my life. And just in what you're doing and the conversations you'll be having, you can help people distinguish that, right?
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's the goal.
That's our hope. Yeah.
And for me, as much as I knew or could know that I wanted to be here, I always looked at worst case scenario, which was I buy a one-way ticket and go back, you know. So it wasn't the consequence of this massive decision of mine wasn't all that huge. But in that, there was another goal, which was if I can obtain my residency in 5 years, at that point, then all of Europe, or at least all of the European Union, opens up as potential other places for me to be. And I don't have to do the visa process to do that. So first of all, I have to dedicate 5 years to being here to get a sense of whether it's where I really want to be or not. I think it's going to take that much time. And at that point, if I decide no, I can move on. The other piece of it that I think, I don't know if it's unique to Americans, but there's a lot of head stuff, a lot of analytical, get in your brain, figure out the details, get all the statistics and put it all together and figure out if this is where I want to live. It's not going to work. For me, I got a feeling. I watched a few videos and said, oh, yeah, Ericeira. There's just something about it. It was more than just the visual. It was a feeling that came with this idea that I was going to make a move that actually got me to say, yes, this is what I want to do. And again, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. I'll figure out something else. But to me, not paying attention to how does it feel, the various places that you guys visit, take a moment to just settle in and take a breath and say, how does it feel to be in this place? You know, and then move on, in addition to all the other stuff. So,
and you'll get a chance to do that for real, won't you? To actually live and breathe it rather than just looking at the stats and the weather.
Yeah.
That sort of thing.
Absolutely. And that's so people have questions, and our goal is to provide them with answers, you know, as much as we possibly can. And on a broader scale.
And you've got to start somewhere, haven't you? If all you've got is statistics and videos, that's what you go with. But this is a new string to the bow, isn't it, of the experience of Portugal that you're laying on for people, which I think is a wonderful part of this evolution of particular kind of people moving to Portugal. Lisa M is here as well this morning. Good morning to you, Lisa. How are you? And Carlos and Sarah Yeoman didn't say hello to you earlier on. Bon dia to you. Sarah, how are you this morning? Loving this. And Jim has been great value as ever in the chat this morning, and asks a really good question, and lots of other lovely comments coming in, like Feel Portugal. That's another name, isn't it? As well as the Portugal Chutzpah Club. Feel Portugal might be your strap line there. Call it the Portugal.
That's great.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
Feel Portugal is really strong. Thank you for that, Andrew, this morning. He's a retired professor, I think, so he won't be charging you for that. I think he can afford to give that one away.
We're writing it down now.
Feel Portugal. That is wonderful. I wonder if we can have that in Portuguese as well. Well, how would that work, João F and Antonio F? Feel Portugal in Portuguese. What did we bring of ourselves that we thought we'd wish we'd left behind? That is a fantastic question. Dare we, the four of us, answer that. What do you make of that, James? That's a great question, isn't it? Very incisive.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, it's all about the mindfulness and the noticing,
Yes.
and what we've talked about. If we don't deal with that before we make a move, it's going to come with us. The baggage is going to come with the luggage. It's going to. So why make that a final step? Why not make it a first step? So it's great advice.
Yeah, nice one, Jim. Portugal says, João de Norte, your neighbours there. Portugal is not for you if you're really picky. I think that's probably true, isn't it?
Oh, there's your subheading. After feel Portugal not for you if you're really picky. Perfect. Yeah. You got your business all lined up.
That might be my next merchandise, as well as the mugs. It's like Portugal, not for the picky, on a t-shirt.
Be a short-lived business, yeah.
And of course, Victoria says, "And no place might be your forever place." That's worth. I mean, nowhere, obviously, for us human beings is forever and ever, is it? So, I guess looking at it from that point of view is really helpful as well. The sun has burst its way through the mist, and it seems to be the makings of a great day. That was Andrew Gilchrist who uttered that on the 27th of February, 2023. That's beautiful, poetic this morning, Lord Gilchrist. How painful might it be for folks to not make it in Portugal? Again, another question you might ask yourself: how will I feel if it doesn't work out? I suppose it's a good preparation, isn't it, James? Looking at it from all the angles.
Yeah, and how can I be here in it, in the present, without attachments? Attachment to staying or attachment to leaving. How can I be to just be here and feel it? That's the important piece for sure.
Yeah. Okay. I want to feel it a bit more, Bob and Viv. So I'm an American for a moment, and I see you on this, and I think a lot of people will be seeing this later on.
Well, did you know that all Americans wear gray and maroon themed clothing?
On Mondays especially.
Now you mention it, okay.
I just had to bring it up. I go, Carl, you didn't get the WhatsApp this morning. You coordinated. Sorry.
The memo coming through was for British people to be wearing green shirts.
Okay.
Someone else could send a photo of themselves in a green shirt just to prove that thing. That'd be wonderful. Only if you're British, of course. People will be seeing this later, because that's when the bulk of our North American viewers, listeners will be tuning in, and they'll be thinking, I love this. This is for me. This is the missing bit of the jigsaw for how I can really engage and feel Portugal, as we're saying. How's it going to work if I am dressed in maroon and grey and I arrive at the airport, and obviously an American? You're picking me up from the airport to begin this. Can you sort of run through what a typical itinerary might look like?
Sure. Go ahead.
Oh, sure. And she hands it off.
Go on, Bob. You, Bob.
Yeah. We're planning to pick up at the airport and leave people free for the first night. We're seeking to coordinate groups. We'll start with as few as 2 for the very first trip, and it'll be an exploratory journey for all of us just to see how it flows. But
we hope to have more. I mean, we'd like to have 6 to 8.
Yeah. We'll start at the airport and then come up to, depends on which airport the trip starts from. We'd like to begin from the north and go to the south.
Yeah.
Basically, that's because that's where we already are. And so landing in Porto or bringing transport up to Porto, we'll bring them up to Ponte de Lima, introduce them to this area, and depends on what the overall focus is of the group. If there seems to be more interest in one area or another, we'll plan a couple nights stay in a particular area of interest if there is. Otherwise, it'll cover all expenses. Basic dinner. We aren't going to cover the extra wine, but all expenses from one end of the country to the other is the plan.
They won't have to worry about anything. We'll drive, we'll guide, we'll be in a van, and so they won't have to think about anything. We've got it all laid out. The hotels, the meals, the everything. and the expat who wherever we're going will be there, and so it'll be a time for them to just focus on them and what they want, and not have to deal with traffic or reservations or this or that or the other. Everything else is done.
Just focus on the experience and feeling Portugal rather than all the logistics.
Exactly.
Exactly. And somebody to do the driving for you. So we want to give a broad experience to the different cultural areas, to the different weather, to the beach versus the city. We will not be focusing on the big cities because you kind of need a big city tour just for the city, I think. There's just too much. But so we'll be more the villages and the smaller cities and the countryside and like San Martino. We love, one of the things we've talked about is making a trip to the anyway, to your meetup.
Where are you? Okay.
Yeah, wherever you have that thing. Yeah.
That one for a long time too, Bob.
I can usually say it, but anyway. Yes.
Yeah, that one.
It happens. But anyway, so yeah, that's the idea is to have the conversations, also to introduce them to the pharmacy, and they can talk to people different areas. Well, how's your pharmacy? How is your hospital care or doctor care here?
Yeah.
What has been easy? What has been a challenge? And just we'll be reaching out to this community for sure, for people, for stops that are interested in having these kind of conversations. And we want to make it a really good time. And I think that goes to what Viv said about taking that pressure off.
Yeah, we want to take the pressure off so they can look and see without worrying about what time do I need to be to the hotel and how late can I check in and just where am I going to eat dinner and all that. So it'll all be planned so they can just take care of themselves and what they're looking for. Yes. And gathering information and getting the best information they can.
Yeah.
Really good. And I think you're gonna get to meet a few of the Gumper community on this trip, aren't you? I think people that you'll have seen on the screen.
Oh yeah, I hope so.
I think a little bit of gaming, sort of game theory, competitiveness will break out as well. So when you're in the Silver Coast, I'll be saying to people, I'll take them to one side, say, this really is the best part of the country, And a pattern will form, won't it? Because John will be saying that about the north. Hank and Connie will be saying that about Porto. Frank will be saying that about the Algarve. Lord Gilchrist will be saying, you should just focus on the capital because it's the best place to be.
Yeah.
So
don't come
So I'm the odd man out there. I don't feel a need to convince anyone that my place is the best place. I just say I love it here.
That is just reverse psychology. No, we see straight through that, James. That's you being nonchalant about your place, so that people go, "Hey, he's not like the other people bigging this place up. This must be a really good place, and he doesn't want us to come here."
Would that I were that devious. You give me too much credit for being devious. Yes.
Well, all really good candidates for your attention. If you're watching this later on in time and space, the places we've mentioned are all good candidates, and Bob and Viv will take good care of you and take you on a lovely tour of this wonderful country so that you can feel Portugal. Onto the leaving thing, just as we conclude today, leaving for a variety of reasons, family needs back home, health issues, so many things may arise that pull someone away. And this is what you'll get to talk about as well, I imagine, while you're here, and how to manage that, because they are realities, and it's about the management of those things, I think, that makes for a successful migration rather than ignoring them. I'm not retired. Anyway, and he doesn't work. Clever me doesn't work on Mondays. You're clever because you don't work on Mondays, or the part of you that is clever doesn't work on Mondays? I'm not sure. We're gonna steal Portugal from you. Carl, did you see the video from Saturday evening? I daren't play that until I've watched it first. So thank you very much. Hola, do you like sarabulho? I can't remember what that is. Is that what is that? What is it?
Blood rice.
Well, it's the mixture of meats, all the different meats together on rice and cooked in a sauce, and it's kind of the dish in Ponte de Lima. They had a festival,
a Sarabulho festival.
Yes, around
a few weeks ago.
Yeah, okay. Sometimes served with the blood rice, sometimes with the white rice, but it's Yeah,
It might have been the
I
blood
probably
red.
like it. I probably like it more than you do, I suppose.
He does. Yeah, he likes it more than I do.
Sounds like a meaty man dish to me.
It is.
With vino verdes on the side
Always with
Got,
Vino Verde.
got blood and bits and
blood and bits. Okay, fantastic. So appetizing.
Come on.
I don't know how that stuff is.
Sarabulio, everybody. Anyway,
Yes.
Lisbon is way better than the north. That is what you're going to experience. That's what you're going to have to figure out for yourself by feeling your way through the journey. Great show. Thanks, Jim. Thank you, Viv, Bob, James, and the Gumpers online there. He's
Thanks
already
for your input, Jim. Yeah.
I thought he was giving that freely as one Gumper to another. Now he's gone all kind of commercial. Oh, that's a shame. That is a shame. Okay, well, good luck with this. How are people going to get in touch with you if they want to take you up on this offer?
BobandVivPT@gmail.com.
Bob and Viv. So the BOBAND VIV.
BOBVIV in Portugal at gmail.com. Wait, let us get it right.
Okay, while I'm doing the dad jokes,
I'll put it in the chat, and then also as of today we're finally getting a Facebook page started, Bob and Viv in Portugal, and that is also the name of our YouTube channel. Which, had I been able to make it work last night, I'd have already posted on. Thanks to Carl, the page is there. So. I'm going to get some more coaching this week, and we'll begin posting things on YouTube. Some of it will just be shorts as to things that, from a construction background, I run into in housing that would have been nice to know, but certainly wouldn't have changed my mind. But just
would have been nice to know, though.
Yeah. So we'll be hitting some of those highlights as well on the YouTube channel.
Watch out for that, and I'll keep. Well, let's make sure that, because you're team members on goodmorningportugal.com, we'll make sure that people can connect through to what you're doing via goodmorningportugal.com as well. Thank you, James. Thank you, Bob and Viv. Lovely idea. Really looking forward to welcoming people on the Silver Coast leg of the tour, as I'm sure the Meetup Network will be all over the country. This is a lovely development and a deepening and a broadening of how to engage with Portugal. So really good luck with that. Yeah, good luck as well to T-Duck's neighbour. Can you believe my neighbour knocked on my door at 2:30 this morning? 2:30! Luckily for him, I was still up playing the drums. So we did that twice. Sometimes I let my dog drive, so I can also get a chance to stick my head out of the window. If you see that in Portugal, that'll be T-Duck on the journey around probably Lisbon there. And it's okay, funds. I'm insufficient too. Very good. Parting words then from our mindful migration resident, the Fraser of this community, James. What did you want to add finally on this fine morning as we strut out into it here in Portugal?
Well, as soon as you ask, like, oh, I don't know. And then it's like, well, be in the moment, be here now. It's all we've got. And I think it's important.
Yeah, and look, you've given some Brits some value. They'll be wearing green shirts, not the maroon and grey.
Nice.
In the UK there. Great show, guys and girls, giving us some interesting options to consider. And that's so interesting to me, because this is what I think will happen when you take people around the country. They will find, it's like you don't know what you don't know, that old chestnut.
Right.
You will talk to people and think, I didn't think of that. And it's this what's happened this morning, isn't it? Clearly, Simon has got an extra thing to consider as a result of listening in this morning. And simply come on over, says Andrew to Simon, as well as considering interesting options. Come over and enjoy it and feel Portugal. So all the very best to you. Thank you so much. Great show all, says Suze as well. And we'll be back tomorrow morning. With whom it escapes me right now, but why don't you find out the answer to that surprise along with me tomorrow morning?
You're so in the moment.
I'm so in the moment.
Very good. That's very good.
Geraldo is putting people together for that. Oh, is that a golf trip as well?
Yes. Yeah.
Now, in all my waffle there, did you get a chance to put your contact details in the chat? Not yet.
What's that? Oh, we did. Yeah. Has it not shown up?
Not
it
yet.
Should be there.
Okay. All right. Well, you can find Bob and Viv through me and through probably the rest of the great Gumper network around Portugal. So have a fabulous day. Oh, there was one. This just in as well. Owen's cooking, I think, for some folks up there.
He is today, yeah.
He's using this sourdough bread, which you can also get in. Sourdough is so much nicer than it sounds, isn't it? But he's
so good.
Yeah.
Antigua, not Antigua, but Antigua.
Yeah.
Fantastic
Excellent
baking
bread.
using their fantastic sourdough bread today. He's doing a meal for 10, and that's all part of Owen's Food Alchemy there. So have a great day, everybody. We'll leave it there for now, and any more comments that come in, including Bob and Viv's contact details, I'll stick them up on the screen on the outro. Take care and bye for now. Ciao, ciao.
Ciao, ciao.
In Portugal, there's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP morning show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. The little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP.
Good morning, Portugal, and I'd like to welcome you to another fantastic day.
Hey, Gumpers.